for ghosting my family when they expected me to cook for 25 guests? My name is Leah, and I'm 25 years old. I work as a line cook at Costello's Trattoria, one of the busiest Italian-American restaurants in downtown Chicago. I've been there for 6 years, ever since I finished a one-year culinary arts program at the local community college. When I graduated from high school, most of my classmates went off to four-year universities. I couldn't. In my house, there was no money for application fees or tuition, and the idea of we'll figure something out always ended the same way. Just never happened. While others were choosing majors, I was looking for short-term options that would let me start working quickly. The culinary program seemed like the best path forward. 1 year, a required externship, and a real possibility of a job at the end. I started at Costello's as a prep cook. My days were spent chopping vegetables, washing dishes, running for whatever was needed, and keeping up with the pace without complaining. A professional kitchen is an unforgiving environment. It was tough. The hours were long, it wasn't glamorous, but it was a steady job. The problem is I don't work one shift. I work two almost every day. I go in at 10 in the morning and leave around 2 in the afternoon. I come back at 5 and stay until 11 at night, sometimes later if the dinner service gets slammed and we have a late closing. Between my commute on the L train, quick meals eaten standing up, and the extra hours, some days I'd spend 12 or more hours focused on nothing but work. Days off were rare, and vacations? Out of the question. I haven't had a real break in years. It's not because I love living like this. It's because my family needs the money. My parents have a mortgage they can't manage on their own. My dad does construction work, but it's often seasonal and inconsistent. My mom has a part-time job at a department store. That's not enough to cover everything in a city like Chicago. And then there's my sister, Megan. Megan is 20 and will be turning 21 next week. She's been a student for almost 3 years. She went to the University of Illinois down in Champaign and spends most of her time there, renting a room in an off-campus house with friends. College is expensive. Tuition, rent, books, meal plans, the money disappeared so fast. My parents decided that Megan, yes, was worth the investment. Just like that. When she was 18 and about to leave for school, they told me my sister was smart, that she had a bright future, and that I had already chosen the easy path by getting into cooking instead of trying harder to get into a university. They said it without shouting, without insults, with a calm that stung more than any yelling, as if it were an obvious truth. According to them, since Megan was the one who was going to go far, it was my responsibility to help her get there. They explained that I was already working, earning a decent wage, and that it was the right thing to do to help with the mortgage and my sister's college expenses. I agreed because I didn't know what else to do. I loved Megan. I really wanted her to succeed, and if that meant tightening my belt and working more, I would do it. I've contributed to the household since I started working, but ever since Megan went to college, everything got heavier. For almost these 3 years, I've been transferring most of my paycheck to my mom. I set up 2 automatic transfers from my bank account every 2 weeks, like a tax I had to pay. One to help with the mortgage and another for her college fund. That money went to the house and to Megan. I was left with the bare minimum for my train pass, a few groceries, and some cheap staff meals at work. I didn't buy new clothes unless something was completely falling apart. I didn't go out with friends, I made no plans. I kept living in the same small room I grew up in. A twin bed, an old nightstand, a closet that didn't close properly. There was barely enough room for me and my things. Sometimes I thought about renting a place, a tiny studio apartment, a room, anything. But it wasn't possible with what I had left after sending them the money. And to be honest, most of the time I didn't even have the energy to imagine it. When you work 12 or more hours a day, 6 days a week, you just want to get home, eat something quick, and pass out. Megan came home, if I was lucky, once a month, sometimes less. When she was here, she hardly spoke to me. She spent her time with her high school friends who were also home for the weekend. When she did approach me, it was almost always to ask for something. Hey, can you Zelle me a little extra? I need it for some textbooks. Can you send me money for the bus back to campus? Everything is so expensive down there. And then she would complain about her classes, her professors, how hard her life was. My parents looked at her like she was a star. They asked about her plans, her friendships, her future. They almost never asked me how I was doing at work. I guess for them, cooking was just what I did, nothing important. and I got used to it. I thought this was what it meant to be a good daughter. I thought this was what it meant to be a good sister. I thought the right thing to do was to endure. Until last Tuesday night. I came home from my double shift, exhausted as always. My feet ached and my head was buzzing. I just wanted to shower and sleep. I opened the door and saw the three of them sitting at the kitchen table. They were laughing, excited, as if they had just won something. I hadn't seen them like that in a long time. "Hi," I said, dropping my bag near the entrance. "What's going on?" Megan looked at me with a huge smile. "Leah, I was just reminding Mom and Dad that my 21st birthday is next week." I nodded without much thought. "Oh, that's great. We can have a family dinner or something." At that moment my mom's smile widened, as if I had just told the joke of the year. "Oh honey, Megan has bigger plans." My dad leaned back in his chair like someone who had already made up his mind. "Next Sunday, her friends are coming over." My mom held up her hand, counting in the air. 25 people in total. "You know what to do. You'll handle the food. Get the house spotless, be nice to everyone and smile. Make it look like you're happy." I froze. It was like a punch to the gut. I worked 2 shifts almost daily. I barely had any days off, and the little rest I did get was now also meant for serving others. "No," I said quietly. "I won't do that." Megan shot up from her chair. "You're so selfish. You don't love me. You want to ruin my birthday." My dad didn't even flinch. His voice was cold. "Leah, you will do as you're told." I took a deep breath. If she wants a nice party, she can have it at a venue. My mom let out a short laugh, as if I were being ridiculous. "With what money?" Megan crossed her arms. "Well, you work at a restaurant. Talk to your boss, ask him for a favor." "It doesn't work like that," I said. "Nobody caters an event for free, even if I work there." My mom's smile vanished as if I had offended her. "Then you either find the money to pay for a party at a venue or you do it here. You cook, you clean, and that's final." That's when it all hit me. The party was the last straw. I was paying for the house. I was paying for my sister's education. I was working myself to the bone, and still they talked to me as if I were the ungrateful one. I didn't yell, I didn't make a scene. I didn't want to act like Megan, shouting to get her way. I just turned around, went upstairs, entered my room, and locked the door. I sat on the bed without even taking off my shoes and just stared at the wall. A long time passed. Downstairs there was silence, then murmurs. They were probably saying I was overreacting. Every so often Megan's voice would rise again, complaining, saying I was a bad sister. The more I thought, the sadder I became. It wasn't anger. It was a heavy feeling, like waking up to a harsh reality. I realized something very clearly. In my own home, they didn't see me as a person with her own life. They saw me as a resource, as someone who exists to make everything easier for them. A walking ATM in a chef's apron. I started doing some quick math. In these nearly 3 years, I had handed over somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000, between my entire paycheck and the extra support when they were short. With that, I could have already rented my own apartment, saved money, taken advanced culinary courses, had a life. Instead, I was still in my childhood room working to the point of collapse. And now they wanted my one day off to become a catering job for 25 guests. And then I remembered Sarah. Sarah works at Costello's as a server. Over time we became friends. She's one of the few people who knew what was happening at my house and was never afraid to tell me what she thought. "Your family is using you," she told me more than once. "They take everything from you and don't even give you respect." I always gave her the same reply, that she didn't understand, that that's just how my family was, that I was fine. And she would look at me as if I were lying to myself. "Leah, you're not fine. You're just scared to admit it." A few weeks earlier, Sarah had mentioned she needed a roommate. Her current roommate's lease was up, and she was moving out of state. She didn't want to give up the apartment, but she couldn't afford it alone. She asked if I knew anyone. I told her I didn't. That night, sitting in my locked room, I understood that maybe I was that person. I picked up my phone and called her. She answered quickly. "Leah? Is everything okay? You sound weird." "I'm not okay," I said, and my voice broke, but I didn't cry. I told her everything about the party, about how they spoke to me, about how they were already making plans for my day off. Sarah listened without interrupting, just making little sounds of frustration, as if she were biting her tongue. When I finished, she said directly, "You're moving in with me." I was silent. Seriously? Of course. This has gone too far. I've told you 1,000 times. You have to get out. Do you realize what you'll have when you stop supporting 3 adults? I didn't like how that sounded, but it was true. We'll split the rent, and you'll be able to breathe. You'll have your own money, your own life. The other bedroom is already empty. All that's missing is you. We talked for about 20 minutes. Her apartment has 2 bedrooms, not huge but nice. It's a reasonable commute from the restaurant, about half an hour on the train without major delays. Tomorrow morning, I blurted out without thinking. It's my day off and I don't think I can stand another day here. Perfect. I'll be waiting. When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Excitement. As if I were finally doing something for myself. That night I started packing in silence. I didn't have that many things. Clothes, some books, personal items. I found some boxes in the basement where we kept old things. In the end, everything fit into 3 boxes. I moved slowly so as not to make noise. I didn't want questions, I didn't want arguments, I didn't want them to talk me out of it. Around midnight, I heard footsteps in the hallway. There was a soft knock on my door. "Leah," my mom said. "Can we talk?" "I'm tired, Mom. Tomorrow." Her tone hardened. "Stop acting like a child. You need to think about your sister's party. It's important. Don't make us look bad in front of everyone." A small smile crossed my face, but no one saw it. "Yes, we'll talk about it tomorrow." "Okay, honey. Good night." I waited to hear her walk away. I finished packing and put the boxes in the closet so they wouldn't be seen. I barely slept that night. Part of me was scared. I had been living like this for so long that I didn't know how to live differently. I wondered if I was being selfish, if my family truly needed me. Then I remembered Megan screaming that I was a bad person just because I didn't want to cater her party. I remembered my parents ordering me around as if I didn't matter. And by the morning, I no longer had any doubts. I got up around 6 a.m., when I knew everyone was still asleep. I wanted to get out before the morning rush. I brought the boxes out one by one and loaded them into my old sedan. The house was quiet, heavy, as if the air itself was stagnant. I left my key on the kitchen table. I got in the car and drove away without looking back. When I arrived at Sarah's apartment, she was already waiting with coffee and a smile. "Welcome home," she said. She helped me carry the boxes up. That morning we arranged my things in a bedroom that, for the first time, felt like mine. It wasn't big, but it was a space where no one was going to come in and tell me what to do. When we finished, Sarah sat on the edge of the bed. "So, how does it feel?" I swallowed hard. "It's scary. Of course. But it also feels good. Really good." We ordered pizza from a nearby place and toasted with sodas, as a celebration. It wasn't a party, but it was a breath of fresh air. The first time in years I had done something just because I wanted to. Around 2 in the afternoon, my phone started ringing. It was my mom. I didn't answer. Then my dad, then Megan, then my mom again. Sarah looked at the vibrating phone. "They've been to your room." "Good," I said. I checked the messages. First they were confused. "Where are you? Why aren't you answering?" Then they got desperate. "Leah, your room is empty. What is going on?" My mom wrote. "My dad left a colder one. Come back. We need to talk about Sunday." Megan sent another that angered me with its absurdity. "I can't believe you're doing this to me. My birthday is in 6 days. I showed them to Sarah. She shook her head. "See? Not one of them is asking if you're okay. They're just worried their plan fell apart." And it was true. I decided not to answer that day. I wanted them to feel, just for a little while, what it was like to not have me there to fix everything. On Monday, I went to work as usual. I was dicing onions when the owner, Mr. Costello, came into the kitchen. "Leah," he said, "your parents are here. They want to talk to you." My stomach dropped. Of course they would come. They knew they could find me there. "I have to go out." "You don't have to," he said. "But they seem agitated. If you want, we can handle this quickly so they don't disrupt the lunch service." I took a deep breath and followed him. They were sitting at a table in the front, tense, with angry and worried faces. Mr. Costello led us to his small office so they wouldn't make a scene in the dining room. As soon as the door closed, my mom exploded. "What is wrong with you, Leah? How could you just disappear like that?" My dad chimed in. "Your sister's birthday is on Sunday. What are you doing?" I spoke simply and directly. "I moved out." My dad frowned as if he didn't understand. "What do you mean you moved out? To where?" "I don't live at home anymore," I said. "I have my own place." My mom's face turned red. "This is ridiculous. You're coming back today. You have to clean the house, plan the menu, get everything ready." And then I couldn't help it. I laughed. A short, dry laugh. "Do you really think I left home only to work more for you?" My dad looked at me lost. "Then what is this about?" "It's about my life," I said. "It's about how I'm not going to support you anymore." They both stood there, stunned. "I'm not paying the mortgage and I'm not paying for Megan's college anymore." My mom clutched her chest as if she couldn't breathe. "You can't do this to us," she said softly. "We depend on that money." "You should have thought of that before," I replied. "Before treating me like I was just here to serve you." My mom pressed her lips together. "How dare you start keeping score?" "I'm keeping score because it's my life," I said, standing up. "I'm not going to listen to any more of this. I've left and I'm not coming back." I opened the door. "And don't come to my job again." My mom started to say something, but Mr. Costello appeared in the doorway, looking serious. "Is everything all right here, Leah?" "Yes," I said. "They're just leaving." "We're not finished yet," my mom snapped. Mr. Costello took a step forward. "You are finished here. This is a place of business. It's not a place to come and pressure my staff." He gestured toward the front door. "I'm asking you to leave and not come back." My parents left with hard faces without saying goodbye. When the door closed, Mr. Costello looked at me with a mix of firmness and concern. "Are you okay?" "Scared," I said. "But okay." He nodded. "Family is complicated, but no one has the right to walk all over you. Not even them." I went back to my station in the kitchen and finished the shift as best I could. When I got to the apartment, I had a ton of missed calls and messages. They begged, they demanded, their tone kept changing. First guilt. "We miss you. We need you here." Then negotiation. "You don't have to cook anymore. You can be a guest. We'll even make you the guest of honor." I read it to Sarah. "Guest of honor," she repeated with a look of disbelief. "What a generous offer. To sit and watch them eat food that you paid for." It made me laugh, but it was a sad laugh. I knew that if I didn't make a clean break, they would keep trying. That night, I opened my banking app and canceled the automatic transfers for the mortgage and Megan's college fund. Then I called the university's bursar's office and calmly informed them that I would no longer be making payments toward my sister's account. I asked them to direct any future billing issues to my parents, who were listed as the responsible parties. When I finished, my chest felt light, as if a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. The following days, they kept trying to contact me from different numbers, sending messages with different tones. I didn't argue anymore. I blocked them all. 2 weeks passed in silence. They were the 2 most peaceful weeks I can remember. I kept working at the restaurant, but I no longer felt that pressure of, if I don't work a double shift, they'll be in trouble. I started taking my days off. Sarah and I paid rent and bills without struggling, and for the first time, I bought things for myself without feeling like I was betraying someone by spending my own money. One afternoon while I was at work, my Aunt Susan, my mom's sister, called me. I was about to ignore it, but curiosity got the better of me. "Leah," she said as soon as she heard my voice, "I need to see you. It's important." I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop downtown after my shift. I arrived late in the afternoon, tired from work and with a lot on my mind. When I got there, she was already waiting with a worried expression. "Your mom told me everything," she began. "She says you abandoned them and that they're in a desperate situation." I looked at her directly. "Did she tell you why I left?" She paused. "She says you got upset about Megan's birthday party." I took a breath and told her the whole story. About the years of double shifts, the thousands of dollars, how they spoke to me, how they expected me to cater a party for 25 people on my only day off. I spoke for about 20 minutes without exaggeration, without shouting. When I finished, my aunt shook her head as if she didn't want to believe it. "I understand that you were hurt," she said. "But family supports each other. Your parents raised you." "And I supported them for 6 years," I replied. "And they still treated me like I didn't matter." "They're struggling," she insisted. "Your dad got a second job. Your mom is putting in more hours. And Megan had to withdraw from school for the semester because they can't afford it." "That's their responsibility," I said. "I'm not responsible for everyone's life." My aunt's face turned red. "I can't believe how selfish you've become." I kept my voice calm. "If that's what you want to believe, that's your choice. I'm not going to change my mind." She stood up and left without saying goodbye. I stayed for a while with my coffee, listening to the city noise. What she said affected me a little. Not out of guilt but out of habit, because I was raised to carry everyone else's burden and feel bad if I didn't. But in the end, what I felt was relief. They were working more, they were figuring it out. For the first time in years, they were living with the consequences of their own decisions, not on my back. Several months have passed since then. I hear about my family through relatives and acquaintances. My parents are still paying the mortgage, but now it's a real struggle, and they have to budget carefully. Megan is working at a retail store and moved back in with them to save money. She says she plans to go back to school when she saves up enough for tuition. People have all sorts of opinions. Some say I'm a bad daughter, that I had no right. Others, especially my cousins, tell me I did the right thing. My cousin Mark told me bluntly one day, "They were taking advantage of you. Don't feel guilty for setting boundaries." And that's what I do. When someone criticizes me, I just tell the truth. I took control of my life and I don't feel guilty. I supported them for years while they treated me like I didn't count. That was enough. My life is different now. I'm still living with Sarah, and we get along great. We split expenses evenly, and I still have more money left over per month than I used to have in a whole pay period. And without that weight on my shoulders, my job feels different. I still get tired, of course, but I'm no longer burning myself out for others. Recently, Mr. Costello called me into his office. "Leah," he said, "next year I want to promote you. You're going to be the new sous chef." I felt my eyes well up, but I held it in. It comes with a better salary and more responsibility. And for the first time, I'm excited about moving forward, not just about surviving. I've also decided something else. When I get the promotion, I'm going to cut back my hours. No more double shifts unless it's an emergency. I want time for myself, to take advanced classes, to improve my skills, to rest, to have a life that doesn't feel like it belongs to someone else. Next month, I'm going to take my first real vacation in over 5 years. Sarah and I are going to drive up to Door County, Wisconsin for a long weekend. It's not a luxurious trip, but it's mine. It's something I'm doing because I want to, not because it's demanded of me. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't left that night. I'd probably still be in my childhood room, working double shifts, handing over my money. I would have cooked and cleaned for Megan's 21st birthday, and then it would have been the same for her 22nd. I have no regrets. It took me 25 years to understand that I deserve a life too, but I understood and I'm not going back. Comment. Setting boundaries with the people we love is often the hardest thing we will ever have to do. We sometimes confuse constant self-sacrifice with loyalty, forgetting that our own well-being matters just as much. True kindness must always begin with how we treat ourselves. Stepping away from an unhealthy dynamic is not an act of selfishness, but a necessary choice for personal healing. You are entirely allowed to protect your peace and build a life that genuinely belongs to you. Taking responsibility for your happiness means learning to walk away when a situation drains your spirit. It takes immense courage to redefine your worth and step into a space of solid self-respect. I hope you always remember that you deserve to be valued for your presence, not just for what you can provide. Please share your reflections in the comments below, and take good care of your heart. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.